Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's time now for Team Tinker, the home team here. And I'd like to welcome to the stage Juliet Simpson, Major Juliet Simpson. Her call sign is Jet. And Jet, we were talking in the briefing. I said, why don't you come up and tell us about these airplanes, because you know all about them. We're going to see the KC-135. We're going to see the incredibly capable and, I don't know if I've used this word or not, venerable, if you will, E-3 Sentry airborne warning and control aircraft. But Jet, welcome to the stand, and thanks for coming up to be with me today.
Hi, Rob. Thanks. Happy to be here.
The aircraft taken off. This is one of those refuelers. Take it.
Hi, everyone. Major Jet Simpson. This is the KC-135. Part of Team Tinker, our reserve KC-135 unit here, piloted by Lieutenant Colonel Defender.
Yeah, the rest of the crew number for today, it's Lieutenant Colonel Defender, Lieutenant Christensen, Lieutenant Pratt, and Senior Master Sergeant Stanton are crewing this aircraft. Now, we talked about it earlier, how it's capable of passing gas.
Correct. So,
sorry.
A lot of our training here at Tinker focuses, at least for our pilots, on getting air refueling training with KC-135s and KC-46s. So it's pretty unique that we have our own reserve KC-135 unit here at Tinker to help support that. We got a lot of questions on our static display on how long the E-3 is able to stay in the air, and here it comes actually. And with the help of the KC-135, we're able to stay airborne for almost 24 hours at a time.
Now, as we look at the airplane, there are some remarkable similarities between the KC-135 and the E-3 Sentry, even with its radome. They both came from kind of the same airframe, didn't they, back in the late 1950s?
Yes, sir, they did. So piloting the mighty E-3 is Captain Andre Russell, Captain Ryan Grassi, Staff Sergeant Katie Rue, and Senior Airman Idram Cortez from the 965th Airborne Air Control Squadron.
Now, the job of the E-3 Airborne Warning and Control System, its job is to control the battle space, isn't it? Both in the air and on the ground.
Yes, sir, it is.
Tell me about what that radome does up on the top. How does that help out?
So our radar actually spins 365 degrees. We don't have them spinning on our statics today, but you should be able to see it once the E-3 flies by on its next pass. With that radar, we're able to see other aircraft as well as maritime aircraft and maritime targets and surface targets. And with our complete comm suite, we're able to speak to those other assets and kind of give them the God's eye view of the battlefield.
So you've got the flight crew that they get the airplane in the air and keep it in the air, but you are in control of some 20 or 22 officers and other enlisted personnel who do all that communication to keep everybody. All the other aircraft could be bombers, could be fighters, could be ground pounders, you know, the infantry on the ground. You guys can see almost everything, can't you?
Absolutely. So that's very unique of the AWACS, that we have so many members flying in the back, part of the mission crew, that we can be doing multiple different mission sets at the same times. So that's pretty cool. So we can be doing close air support, we can do intercepts with other fighters. We can also provide ground support for the guys on the ground and be that comm relay for them with the fighter aircraft and then the guys that are actually on the ground with the bad guys.
Directing airstrikes on enemy targets. letting our aircraft know if there are bogeys or bandits out there, the bad guys
Absolutely.
out there, to intercept them. And but over the years, because the E3 went into service when, back in 1960 something?
Yeah, around that time.
Yeah. Over the years, technology has changed, and not only have we gained technology in how the radar can resolve a target. In other words, what 50 years ago might have been a blip, now the radar return will actually potentially indicate what kind of aircraft it is.
Absolutely. So it takes... We use a lot of different systems on our aircraft. So we have obviously our radar, but we also have a passive detection system that can help us ID what type of aircraft it is. So it's really cool playing if you haven't actually seen the statics. We have two different tails out there. One of them has our legacy flight deck, and then we also have our Dragon modification flight deck on tail 1605. So that kind of took our analog flight controls in the cockpit and then made it more of like iPads and more advanced technology as far as that. So it's given us a lot more capabilities in that sense.
But in the back too, with the people operating the sensors and the radios and the communication and identification equipment, that has changed. So you're not looking at old television screens anymore. Now do you have flat panel displays, and can you watch Netflix?
We do.
You do watch Netflix?
No.
I'm kidding.
Not on the plane, actually. We do have completely different back end than when I first joined the Air Force. So we went from more of a trackball, push button type computer system to now your off the shelf keyboard with a mouse kind of Windows Media, if you will, type of system. So the radar data is displayed in a whole different way than when I started, and it's more user friendly.
I bet it is, and that just happens with technology. Now, I have seen E3 Sentries at other air shows. I have never seen 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 of them in one place. Are those all based here that I see across the field?
Yes, sir. We are Mother Tinker, so the home of the E3.
You know, as we listen to that jet, those 4 jets, they're smoking. Those are older motors. Those have not been changed like on the KC-135R Stratotanker, those modifications with the CFM56 engines. Is there any plan to re-engine the E3's Sentry aircraft? Do you know?
We're actually in the middle of the divestiture for a lot of our tails here at Tinker. With that are coming a lot of challenges as far as air crew and our maintenance, but at the same time, with less tails to maintain, it's kind of in an odd way helping our operation rate.
So when you say divestiture, you mean they're going to be retired?
A-firm, yes, sir.
Wow. In all seriousness, if the aircraft can stay aloft for 24 hours, there has to be sleeping quarters back there someplace for the sensor operators and the other, both the officers and enlisted personnel who are controlling the battle space.
For all my bros that have been out to CENTCOM, we've had quite a few energy drinks, Rippets, coffee. A lot of us just, we continue the fight.
In other words, you power through.
Basically, yes.
Wow.
We do, if you do get on the static display, you'll see that we have 6 cots, kind of bunk bed style, if you will, in the back of the plane. Those are primarily used for our flight deck, our pilots, our engineer, and our navs, so that they can be rotated through and fully rested to make sure that, our plane takes off and lands.
Okay, keep the flight crew happy up there. What kind of, and again, this is just a novice, never having been inside of one, got to be a galley, got to be some food if you're going there. Do you bring box lunches, or is there food preparation and some sort of a microwave for heating up stuff?
We kind of went over it in the static display as well. It's kind of like an office in the air, so it's bring your own lunch. And we do have 2 ovens, sometimes just one, but like 2 ovens on the jet to warm up your lunch. So that's how we feed ourselves.
Wow. Listen to the difference in sound with the different engines, those newer engines. No smoke either, as we see the boom operator with that boom extended, making a high-speed pass. That's probably over 350 miles an hour on that pass. Pretty cool. But this is Team Tinker. This is one of those places that it's hard to imagine those who work here, any other Air Force base, they go and find it to be very small compared to Tinker Air Force Base.
Absolutely. We have a very big base, and I think for a lot of our volunteers and our younger airmen, they're surprised that maybe their first time being on this side of Tinker, because we primarily live on, where the E3s are parked on the other side of base, if you will. Wow.
And this is a place where an airplane can be literally torn down to the skin and bones and made like new, if you will. Well, Jet, thank you very much for coming up. Tell me a little bit more, if you will, about your duty aboard the E3 Sentry, because you're kind of the person in charge of some of this, right?
So for us, we're the air battle managers. We work on the back end of the plane, so part of the mission crew, and we'll have a section lead in charge, and they are in charge of the entire mission crew. So that's from the guys that are talking to you on the radio to the guys that are the technicians on the plane. So yeah, as air battle managers, we're the ones that are talking to the other aircraft on the plane. We're also in charge of powering on, manipulating the sensors to see what targets are out there. So whether that's a large RCS target, small RCS.
RCS means radar cross-section. In other words, how big a blip, how stealthy or non-stealthy that it is.
Correct, yes. So that's our bread and butter, being able to use our aircraft and our system to see, the battlefield, basically.
We're going to get one more pass of each airplane here. When you go back in time to 1957, when the first KC-135 was built, it was the predecessor, as I mentioned, of the Boeing 707 commercial airliner. And there was, up in Seattle, on the introduction of the original Boeing 707 airliner, at the controls of that aircraft was a guy named Tex Johnston. And Tex did something that nobody believed could be done. But he had perfect air, he had plenty of room, and he took an airplane the same size of these airplanes that we're seeing fly by today and did a complete upside down and up to right side up roll in it. And then he did it again, and his bosses at Boeing chewed him up one side and down the other. They were none too pleased. But it had not a negative effect, but a very, very positive effect on the American public, saying that this airplane is safe to be in. And that's what helped Boeing dominate the airline market for many, many years, and continues to produce aircraft that have been very, very important for our nation's defense. Jeff Shetterly is coming by in his North American Texan, the advanced trainer for the United States Army Air Force, Navy and Marine Corps. And he's going to put on his full demonstration for us in just a little while.
Broadcast Central, Dan Hawkins, McKenna God with you. Great pictures from our crew all afternoon long, and we are now absolutely delighted to be joined by Colonel Ken Callsign Det. Voigt, sir, how are you? The commander of the 552nd Air Control Wing.
Well, good afternoon. What a great day. It's a great day for Tinker, a great day for Midwest City, Oklahoma, and quite frankly for America. Just look around. This is great to be here today.
Sir, we literally just saw the E3 flying through the sky. I loved seeing the excitement on your face as it did its flyby.
Oh.
It is definitely a unique looking aircraft, but can you tell us what is the AWACS and what are its capabilities?
Absolutely. The AWACS is one of the two weapon systems we have in the 552nd Air Control Wing. The E3 AWACS stands for Airborne Warning Control System. It is what provides calm in air battle chaos. So everyone that was out here at the air show saw the Tora, saw a bunch of aircraft flying around and was probably wondering, how do you actually know what's going on in that fight? And all the aircraft flying around, all the confusion, all of the congestion in the airspace. It is the experts on the back of that E3 AWACS that are able to put calm to all that chaos and be able to sort out all the confusion. It's an amazing platform to be on. I saw your smile get pretty big when the E3 flew over. It's a great thing to watch fly. And the real cool part about here at Tinker and inside the 552 is we not only have professionals doing that in the air, we have mobile professionals on the ground doing that as well. So we have the Control and Reporting Center here, which provides our persistent command and control, and then our E3 AWACS, which gives us our quick reaction to be in any combatant command that needs us.
Yeah, and you see some great pictures here on the screen. I mean, makes your heart sore, right?
It is. Not that I'm allowed to have favorites, but it's my favorite aircraft in the inventory.
That's shocking, actually, sir. Very shocking. So, earlier today we had General Hawkins, the commander of the Air Force Sustainment Center. We also talked to Colonel Moore from the ALC here, and one of the things we talked about was Secretary Kendall's operational imperatives and modernization and things that are happening, and I imagine your unit at the 552nd is no different as we look to continue to look to the future as well.
I'm going to get distracted for a second because here she comes. Oh, just amazing to watch her fly by. That is American air power right there.
Yeah, great shot.
Yeah. So, as awesome as that aircraft is, we have to continue to be innovative. We have to continue to push ourselves to make sure that we are ready to meet the demands that our nation needs and meet the current environment, if you will. The global environment changes constantly, and at times it's not very stable, and we need to make sure that we're ready for that. So, the airmen of the 552, one of my priorities and the ones they like to get after is innovation. They are all about it. Right now on the ground-based side, we have one squadron that is completely experimenting with how to change a control and reporting center that was really geared for the global war on terror, and they are completely changing that to be extremely mobile and agile for the battlefield of the future. And we're also looking at how do we take the E3, how do we use that E3 for today's environment, and then help build ourselves for the E7 when the Wedgetail comes online.
Yeah, so a lot actually happening, and we talked a little bit off air, but we talked about how this is a platform that it doesn't just fly around the skies of Oklahoma. This is a aircraft that has a lot of implications, integrated deterrence and partnerships with our allies and partners around the world in line with General Brown's vision. Can you kind of talk about its applicability to strategic competition?
Yeah, so when America goes, America brings its air power, and if American air power is there, the E3 AWACS is there. So we are all over the globe, any hotspot, from watching the Iran-Iraq war back in the 80s all the way through the Ukrainian crisis of today. Every single crisis, hotspot, or national emergency, you had an E3 airborne providing comms into chaos. And I'll tell you, you brought up the skies of Oklahoma, though. The skies of Oklahoma have had an E3 on it since the E3's been around. E3 has been flying over Oklahoma since the late 70s, and if you ever want to know what right looks like when it comes to military-civilian relationships, come to Tinker Air Force Base and see see the interaction between our Oklahoma community and our airmen at the 552. And all of the Team Tinker here. It's just phenomenal. You see them all around here, walk around the airfield, and yes, we get to be the sometimes the face because everyone sees and knows what an AWACS is, but the military members on this base enjoy one of the finest relationships with the civilian community.
Now, it's no secret that the AWACS is your absolute favorite
Absolute.
aircraft, but if you had to pick a second...
You know, I actually I was walking up to the stage today with my daughter, and I was telling her that, you know, these air shows are the reason why I'm in the Air Force. There isn't one plane that's parked out on this tarmac that doesn't make me smile. It's Navy aircraft, Army aircraft, Air Force aviation. It's amazing. You see an air show like this, and it brings out the kid in me. Mm-hmm. But then I look around and see all the youth that's here, and then we're able to show these youth that, hey, if you study in your science class, if you study in your math class, you become an engineer. You become able to problem solve. You can be doing everything here. Air Force lives on STEM programs, and being able to highlight to all these youth and what it's like, and hopefully out in this audience is a couple of kids that were like me when I was their age and are looking and smiling at every aircraft flying by because it's all amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. These air shows, they're so much fun, and a lot of people don't realize how much of an impact it can truly make. And then once you get older and you remember that air show and you remember the things you saw and how excited it made you feel, and now you get to be a part of that. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. Now, my wife would want me to point out the B1 because that was the program that she was on. So
now we're getting
I'm just saying, if I don't point out the B1, then I'm probably not allowed to go home. But, that's an amazing aircraft, and nothing makes you smile like hearing a B1 roll overhead. It's just she's an awesome aircraft. But really, anything that's flying, I'm smiling.
Yeah.
Even a Jelly Belly landing on a plane, a truck today. I'm smiling at watching that.
Yeah, that's really. I mean, the first air show I ever went to, I actually saw the Blue Angels with my dad at Naval Air Station, Corpus Christi, Texas. So yeah, it just brings out the kid in you, and obviously, just take a look at the crowd. Right, there's a lot of kids here, so that's cool to see.
Yeah, and the Blue Angels are here today, so you get like bookended,
full circle,
which is great to have the Blue Angels here. It really shows. One, not a lot of people realize there's Navy here on Tinker. Of the 6 wings that are on Tinker, one of them is STRATCOM 1, our Navy brother and sisters living on the other side of the ramp. And having the Blue Angels here really shows that air power, while Air Force equals air power, but air power is also prevalent in all of our branches, and it takes the entire military family to do what the nation needs us to do. So I love having the Blue Angels out here. It's great to see them do their job, and knowing that it's bookending your air shows makes it even better.
Yeah, they said, "You want to come? The Blue Angels are coming." I said, "Okay, I'll come. I'll come. I'll make the trip up." Well, there you go. Another great shot there from the E3B. But, sir, we certainly appreciate your time this afternoon, and of course what you and your unit does for the nation. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right. So that was Colonel Voigt from the America's Wing. Let's send it back out to the airshow narrator, Rob Ryder.
You're strapped in at this point. If you were in the back, you'd be strapped in, safety belts, tray tables in the upright and locked position.
Exactly. Just like on a commercial aircraft, we would be strapped in, facing away from our consoles. And,
so the chair, your seats actually rotate 180?
Yes, sir.
Oh.
Actually, really 360.
Ah, gotcha. As they bring it to a stop. Juliet Simpson, thank you for coming up. I hope you'll do it again tomorrow with us. Ladies and gentlemen, nice round of applause for Jet Simpson and Team Tinker. Ladies and gentlemen, on the takeoff roll, let's listen to the sound of radial rumble. Jeff Shetterly is airborne. Jeff Shetterly is a third-generation lover of aviation. His passion for flying began at a very young age, soloing at the youngest age possible, the 16th birthday. He did that when he was in Indianapolis. He became a private pilot at just 18, just before entering the Beast Barracks at the boot camp for the United States Military Academy at West Point. Upon graduation, Jeff commissioned in the Army and attended the Armor Officer Basic Course, where he learned to command platoon-sized elements of M1A1 Abrams tanks. He was stationed in Germany for 4.5 years. He deployed to the Balkans several times on peacekeeping and special ops missions. And upon returning to the States with an honorable discharge, he picked up aviation where he had left off. And since then, in those ensuing years, our Radial Rumble performer has become an instrument-rated commercial pilot, a certified flight instructor with experience in over 100 types of airplanes, including gliders, seaplanes, and obscure vintage machines. In 2016, he earned his airline transport pilot certificate with the intent of qualifying to fly historical fighters and bombers, and ended up serendipitously using that certification to become an airline pilot, which now he greatly enjoys. This is a 1945 SNJ, the Navy version of the Texan, with its supercharged 1,340 cubic inch Pratt & Whitney 600 horsepower radial engine. It's a 5,000-pound marvel. There were 3 different phases of training for pilots in the World War II in the United States. The first phase was called primary training. It was in a very, very simple airplane, like the Boeing Stearman or the PT-19 Cornell, where the cadet would learn the basics of flying. That initially lasted for about 12 weeks and 75 hours of flight time. If the cadet didn't wash out then, he'd move on to basic training in a more advanced airplane, like the Vultee Valiant, the BT-13, Basic Trainer 13, which was nicknamed the Vultee Vibrator. And that also lasted about 12 weeks and 75 hours of training. And if the cadet passed that basic training phase, he'd move on to advanced training in the airplane type that you see before you now, with its 600 horsepower motor, learning instrument flight, that is flying without reference to the outside, only with reference to the instruments. And from this aircraft, the pilot would move on to the fighters, bombers, or cargo aircraft of the day. So this airplane was called the Pilot Maker. Upside down, he'll throw that stick over to the left. Into the upright position, accelerating to around 200 miles an hour. And experience about 4 Gs pulling right up there. Straight up into this incredible sky here over Tinker. On the way down, watch him roll the aircraft into the upright position on the way down with 1/2 of a Cuban 8. The radial piston engine was air-cooled. It was the type of engine used on a majority of the airplanes that were flown in World War II. Rather than having a straight 6 or a straight 4 or a V6 or a V8, the cylinders were arranged in a circle around a central propeller shaft, and the power strokes on the pistons would deliver their power right to the propeller. As Jeff does a very elegant maneuver that is actually exceptionally complex, called a barrel roll, maintaining one positive G. In other words, 200-pound guy stays 200 pounds all the way through. So the airplane doesn't even know it's upside down, starting at the same altitude, airspeed, and heading, and finishing that way as well, and carving out the inside of a barrel in its roll. This is the super slow roll. It is said if you can do a super slow roll well, you can do any maneuver well, and Jeff Shetterly just did it. How about a big round of applause for Jeff Shetterly in the Radial Rumble? The North American Texan was flown by nearly 30 Allied nations in World War II, and some of them actually found themselves back in service as combat aircraft or targeting aircraft in the first jet war, the Korean conflict between 1950 and 1953. When the early jets were having trouble spotting targets on the ground. And so some of these North American Texans were re-outfitted with white phosphorus rockets and dubbed T-6Gs. And they would fly low and slow over the battlefield, attracting ground fire or searching out targets of opportunity. Then they'd circle back around and fire their white phosphorus rockets, which put out voluminous amounts of white smoke, and call up to the fast-moving jets and say, hit the smoke. Coming over with a knife-edge pass, his final pass, dedicating all of you kids to take your aviation dreams and aspirations as far as you can. Flying is one of the greatest freedoms a person can know. And come join us at Pancake Breakfast fly-ins and on the airways at the flight levels. Pursue your passion. Go after it. And he'll be setting up to land here in just a moment. Coming from the left, to get your cameras ready real quickly, I think we're going to get a photo pass out of this. This is a pass that I wasn't counting on. Low and to the left, going to make some good noise. Here comes Jeff Shetterly. Love those mini sonic booms created by the propeller tips going supersonic. He has been cleared to land. We also want to thank, in addition to all the other sponsors I've mentioned, our official tent company, Conventions and More. They can make your dream come true for all your rental needs. Call Conventions and More. If you need golf carts, call Clear Creek Golf Car, the official golf cart company of the air show. And we want to thank some great hotels for providing lodging for a lot of us. The Delta Hotel, the Hampton Inn, Midwest City. Home 2 Suites, Midwest City. Hawthorne Suites by Wyndham, Midwest City. Candlewood Suites in Del City. Spring Hill Suites in Del City. Please check out those people. Tinker Aero Show is proud to partner with many aerospace companies, including Lockheed Martin, Atlantic Aviation, Spartan College, Kratos, Warfeather, Field Aerospace, Aero Turbine, and the Oklahoma Defense Industry Association. Thank you for your support to our aerospace defense and our aviation. Jeff Shatterly takes his bow with a little extra smoke, and we're going to go from radial rumble to the most powerful jet.
As we've heard all throughout the day, STEM is the heart of aviation, and it is crucial for the next generation. And in partnership with Tinker, we have local communities, schools, and aviation companies who have put together a 100% free STEM city. Let's take a look.
Many reasons why the air show is a fun event for the whole family, and this is one of them. I'm standing in the STEM City hangar, a place where kids can play with toys and learn at the same time. Here to talk a little bit about this is Cliff Harden, the Tinker STEM Outreach Coordinator. Cliff, what is STEM City?
STEM City is a science, technology, engineering, math. We wanted to tie everything together, basically what we do out here at Tinker Air Force Base with our MROs, the engineering group. So we have all sorts of fun activities for the kids. But yes, science, technology, engineering, and math.
I see robots flying all over the place here. What is this?
Absolutely. We have robots that can they blow bubbles. This one actually blows bubbles. So the kids are going to understand exactly robotics between mathematics, mechanical engineering is an integral part of what we do out here. There you go.
Children are our future. Why is STEM so important for the future?
Because we have science tech. Well, a perfect example. This right here is keeping me cool.
Yeah.
It's because of STEM. That's why. That's why.
I like it. Creative. That is kind of what is behind STEM, right?
Absolutely.
Having creativity skills.
Yes, sir. Having these creativity skills. So the activities that we have out here, we have everything from puzzles to straw rockets to building little miniature robots. And then also over there we have the Tinker, the Oklahoma City Air Logistics Complex is showing all the fun stuff that we do out here for those students so they can understand what we do.
Cliff, I want to thank you so much for joining us. STEM City will be here at the Tinker Air Show on both Saturday and Sunday. If you're here, stop on by and check everything out. Back to you.
Thanks, Clayton. Great report. And you know what? I think that's a nice place to be because you can get out of the sun for a little while, too.
Yeah, absolutely. Good thinking.
But getting ready to take to the air is the F-35 demonstration team. That's pilot Kristen Bayo-Wolf, and I won't get to the movie reference or anything, but you get the picture. But America's 9G capable 5th generation aircraft, it is going to be a sight to see. Let's kick it back out to the narrator, Rob Ryder.
Lightning 2. reduced ability to detect the jet through the use of stealth technology. In order to remain covert, you must maintain a clean profile by carrying your missiles and bombs internally. With an internal payload capacity of over 6,000 pounds, the F-35 is the most lethal multi-role fighter jet in the world. If you ever wondered where those bombs and missiles hide, here is your answer. The F-35 possesses the capability to reach speeds 1.6 times the speed of sound, which equates to nearly 1,200 miles per hour. Today we will showcase just a fraction of this engine's capability. Watch now as Major Wolf accelerates to just below the speed of sound, covering an incredible 3 football fields per second. If that wasn't impressive enough, she will then pull back on the stick and catapult the Lightning II from 300 feet to over 3 miles. Ladies and gentlemen, prepare for Freedom's Thunder on the High Speed Pass. In a dogfight, combat maneuverability is crucial. The Lightning II's advanced flight controls combined with its powerful engine gives the F-35 an impressive 1,500-foot turn radius. As Major Wolf approaches show center, she will light the afterburner and bank sharply, pressing her in the seat with up to 9 Gs or 9 times the force of gravity. After completing the turn, the F-35 will power straight up into a vertical climb and quickly change direction, flipping end over end in a maneuver we call the Lightning Loop. From your right, the Lightning II's combat radius turn. Ladies and gentlemen, Major Wolf has begun to reposition in preparation for the dedication pass. Major Wolf and the rest of the F-35 demonstration team from the 38th Fighter Wing wish to dedicate this pass to the men and women from all branches of the armed forces and their families who are so bravely fighting today's joint fight. We would also like to remember our wounded warriors and veterans in attendance and those who have given their lives defending this great nation. This will be your best photo opportunity, so get your cameras ready to capture this salute. Now, from over your right shoulder, the F-35 demonstration team proudly presents the dedication pass. Major Wolf will now demonstrate the Lightning II's crisp agility and handling. Notice that as she makes her approach, she is in the inverted position and will continue to stay inverted as she flies across the container. Coming in from your left, Major Wolf performing the inverted pass. The F-35 possesses the incredible ability to point its nose at will in a dogfight. Watch closely as the jet climbs more than a mile into the vertical and completes the lightning loop. And then while under complete control and without thrust vectoring, Major Wolf will execute a full 360-degree flat turn. Ladies and gentlemen, the Lightning II pedal turn. Watch now as Major Wolf flies across the aerobatic container and traces a square in the sky. Coming in from the left, the F-35 performing the unique square loop. The ability to maintain slow speed flight is crucial in combat. The potent combination of sophisticated flight controls, coupled with the most powerful fighter engine ever built, make it possible to reduce the F-35 speed to less than 100 knots. Coming in from your right, Major Wolf will demonstrate the F-35's slow speed capability. And then just as she approaches show center, you will once again feel the raw power of the engine as she lights the afterburner and accelerates the aircraft into a near vertical climb. Don't look away yet. As Major Wolf reaches the peak of her climb, she'll go inverted and reposition the aircraft by performing a split S. As she returns to show center, she will then accelerate rapidly and snap the F-35 through a series of aileron rolls to demonstrate the Lightning II's impressive roll maneuverability. Dropping in from the left, Major Wolf executing opposing rolls. As the most technologically advanced fighter aircraft in the world, the F-35's flight controls give our pilots a distinct advantage to outmaneuver their opponents. As Major Wolf approaches show center, she will complete more than 135 degrees of heading change in 3 seconds, slide the tail of the F-35 through the churn, and powerfully climb out of the maneuver. Closing in from the right, ladies and gentlemen, the tactical pitch. As Major Wolf repositions the F-35 in preparation for Heritage Flight, we would like to give a shout out to our expert maintenance team that made today's demonstration possible. Our F-35 dedicated crew chiefs, Staff Sergeant Jeffrey Williams from Mobile, Alabama, Senior Airman Jesse Easley from Houston, Texas, our avionics specialist, Staff Sergeant Zachary Stiles from Royce City, Texas, Senior Airman Franksel Zaragoza from Yuma, Arizona, our aircrew flight equipment specialist, Staff Sergeant Austin Noivong from Syracuse, Utah, our team public affairs advisors, and your newest staff sergeant on the team, Staff Sergeant Kaylin Ergish from Green Bay, Wisconsin. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to take a moment to describe the unique history of what you're about to watch. In 1997, the leaders of Air Combat Command assembled a select group of retired military and civilian performers to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the United States Air Force. From this gathering was born the Heritage Flight, a unique visual representation of the Air Force's history from the days of the Army Air Corps to the present. What started out as a one-time event has grown in popularity and demand, and now, Heritage Flights are performed at air shows and special events in the United States and around the world. Please turn with me now as this rare formation approaches from behind and overhead. Flying in formation today are a Vietnam-era F-5E Tiger II, piloted by Tommy Limiter Williams, and a United States Air Force F-35, piloted by Major Kristen Bayo Wolf. We would like to dedicate today's Heritage Flight to all military veterans in attendance whose sacrifices over the years have helped preserve America's freedom. We hope you enjoy watching this rare formation of classic and current United States Air Force aircraft. Please turn with me now and watch as this rare formation approaches from behind the crowd for the final pass. Ladies and gentlemen, the United States Air Force Heritage Flight. We hope you've enjoyed watching and taking pride in this rare display of 75 years of air power heritage.
And the F-35A demonstration team has landed. The F-35A piloted by Major Kristen Beowulf. That's some pretty impressive stuff.
Absolutely. The F-35 is the Air Force's newest fifth-generation aircraft, and it was so awesome. We had an amazing performance to be able to see its capabilities.
Yes, multi-role stealth fighter that will eventually replace the F-16 and the A-10. Just an impressive aircraft. And we talked with the Tinker Public Affairs team, and yesterday they actually did a podcast with Major Wolf and the pilot from the F-5 that you just saw up in the skies. And it's out there if you want to listen. It's pretty good.
Absolutely. You can check it out at Tinker Talks is the podcast. You can go to tinker.us. You can go to Tinker's website, and you can also download it wherever you download your podcasts.
Yeah, I just checked it out. Apple, Spotify, you can listen in. So if you want to hear more about the F-35 and its capabilities, go there. You can also follow the F-35 demo team. They're out on social media. They're on Twitter, Instagram. Just go out and look for them. We've got the Blue Angels coming up soon. That's going to be
excited.
1,500. I mean, the countdown's on.
Almost there.
Yeah, about 35 minutes or so. You see the crowd behind us. It's getting hot out here, but crowd still out in force. So don't go anywhere right now. We're going to kick it back to the air show narrator, Rob Ryder.
Great Britain, for Italy, the Netherlands, Canada, Australia, Denmark, and Norway, they all participated in the program to develop this transformational jet aircraft. And in addition to those countries, other nations have purchased the aircraft. Israel, Japan, the Republic of Korea, Belgium, Poland, Singapore, Finland, Switzerland, and Germany. And all of those countries share very similar capabilities of this airplane, allowing them to operate in a combined effort. In other words, Italian F-35s could fly and have flown right alongside American F-35 aircraft, sharing the data with the incredible capabilities of sensor fusion. Sensor fusion gives the pilot greater than human visual capabilities, and the sharing capabilities of the aircraft among the partner nations can transfer amounts of data heretofore unbelievably thought possible. And it is truly, with its stealth capabilities, gives the allies of the free world an edge over those other countries who would steal our freedoms. Taxiing out now, we have aircraft representing the Women's Air Service Pilots, or WASP. These aircraft are from the National World War II WASP Museum. It exists to honor the Women's Air Service pilots and their legacy, to tell their story to future generations and inspire the next generation of leaders and pilots and bright young people to follow in their aircraft. On the left is the WASP version of the advanced trainer, the AT-6, being flown by Brian Lang. On the right, the BT-13 is being flown by David Townsend. It's a basic trainer. These represent phases 2 and 3 of pilot training in World War II. Now, the Women's Air Service pilots were put together, and some 1,600 female pilots went through the exact same training as their male counterparts, but they did not see combat. But they did move airplanes from point of manufacture to bases all around. On the takeoff roll, there's Brian Lang. They're from Avenger Field in Sweetwater, Texas. I said 1,600 women. It was 1,800 from all over America to train as Army pilots during the war. They made a truly outstanding contribution to the war effort. They flew in every imaginable weather on every kind of non-combat stateside mission there was. They were the cream of the crop of their generation, and they led the way for many of the women in our armed services today. What is almost amazing is that when one considers the number of men and women who served in World War II, 16 million Americans served. There were 405,000 Americans who lost their lives in World War II. But training, flight training, is not the same today as it was back in those days. In the earlier days of aviation, it was a much more treacherous endeavor. Some 13,000 pilots lost their lives in training alone. In landing accidents, mid-air collisions, and other training accidents. So training was very, very challenging and not to be trifled with. With the aircraft we have today, flight training is much, much easier. The flight training in the early days, as I mentioned earlier today, took about 12 weeks, but as the need for pilots became more and more urgent, that 12 weeks was often shortened to 10, and then toward the latter part of World War II, got down to about 9 weeks. It was very intense training. The BT-13, the basic trainer, was a step up from the primary trainers like the Boeing Stearman biplanes or the Ryan Cornell.